Have you ever felt your body doing something strange that you just couldn't explain? Maybe it was a sudden change in appetite. Maybe you felt weaker than usual. Or maybe someone close to you started showing signs you didn't quite understand. As we get older, our bodies start to communicate in powerful ways. Sometimes those messages are harmless, just the natural part of aging. But other times they're signals, warnings, signs that the body may be preparing for its final chapter. Now, before we go further, I want to be really clear. This video isn't here to scare you. It's not about taking away your hope or making you feel anxious. In fact, it's the opposite. My goal is to give you awareness and clarity, so you can face these changes with compassion, understanding, and even peace. Doctors and health experts have studied these patterns for years, and there are 7 major signs that often appear when a person's life is drawing to a close. These aren't just ordinary aches and pains. They're very specific, and once you know them, you'll be able to recognize what's happening and respond in the most loving way possible. So, I invite you to stay with me all the way to the end. As we go through these signs together, I encourage you to reflect on your own experiences. Think about loved ones who may have gone through this. And most importantly, remember that knowing these signs can help us shift our focus from fear to love, from confusion to clarity. All right, let's begin with the first sign. Sign 1. Rapid and unexplained. Weight loss. One of the earliest and clearest red flags that the body may be nearing the end is sudden, unexplained weight loss. Now, we're not talking about the kind of weight loss you celebrate after sticking to a new diet or exercising more. We're talking about pounds melting away even when nothing in your routine has changed. No new workout, no cutting back on meals. Yet somehow the body begins to shrink. Why does this happen? Well, as the body approaches its final stage, it often struggles to process nutrients the way it once did. The digestive system slows down. The cells stop absorbing vitamins and energy properly. Sometimes serious conditions like cancer, heart failure, or advanced organ disease are quietly at work behind the scenes. You might notice clothes hanging more loosely. Rings that used to fit snugly may slide off with ease. Friends and family may comment, "You look thinner," even though you haven't been trying to lose a single pound. But here's the part many people overlook. This weight loss usually comes hand in hand with a loss of appetite. Foods that once tasted amazing suddenly don't appeal anymore. Comfort meals, even lifelong favorites, may seem bland or heavy. Sometimes just a few bites can make a person feel full. For families, watching this happen can be heartbreaking. Imagine sitting at the dinner table, seeing a loved one push away their favorite dish after only one spoonful. It can feel like rejection. It can even stir up frustration. Why won't you eat? You need to stay strong. But here's the truth. This isn't about willpower, and it's not a choice. It's not stubbornness. It's simply the body's way of shifting focus. Instead of directing energy toward growth and strength, the body begins to conserve energy for the most basic function of survival. And this is where compassion matters more than ever. Instead of forcing food or urging someone to just eat a little more, the most loving response is comfort. That might mean offering soft, easy-to-eat foods, serving small portions without pressure, or simply sitting together at mealtimes. Because at this stage, the goal isn't about building the body back up. It's about honoring where the body is, providing dignity, gentleness, and meaningful moments together. When we recognize this sign, it allows us to respond with empathy instead of frustration, and to focus on what truly matters: connection, comfort, and love. Sign 2. Persistent and extreme fatigue. The second sign is one that often surprises people with its intensity. Persistent, extreme fatigue. Now, everyone gets tired. That's normal. But the fatigue we're talking about here goes far beyond the usual weariness that disappears with a nap or a good night's rest. This is a deep, bone-heavy exhaustion that lingers no matter what you do. For someone nearing the end of life, even the smallest task can feel overwhelming. Walking across the room feels like climbing a mountain. Holding a simple conversation feels like running a marathon. Even sitting upright for a few minutes can drain what little strength remains. So why does this happen? As the body weakens, the heart may struggle to pump blood efficiently. The lungs may not deliver enough oxygen. The blood itself may stop carrying nutrients the way it once did. And when that happens, the body has to make tough choices. It begins to conserve energy, directing it only to the most vital functions, like keeping the heart beating and the lungs moving. Everything else, even things as simple as staying alert or holding a conversation, becomes less important in the body's survival plan. That's why you'll often see long stretches of sleep during the day. Someone may wake briefly, only to drift back into slumber minutes later. Nights may become restless, while the daytime is filled with dozing and drowsiness. And here's something many families don't realize. This fatigue isn't just physical. It affects the mind, too. Thinking clearly can become harder. Responses may come more slowly. A once sharp mind may begin to pause mid-thought or prefer silence over words. Now, if you're still watching this video, I want to pause for a moment and ask you to comment number 2 down below. It lets me know you're here, you're learning, and these insights are helping you. For loved ones, this fatigue can feel like withdrawal. It may even feel personal, like the person doesn't want to talk, laugh, or engage anymore. But that's not what's happening. This isn't a lack of interest. It's simply that the energy required to do those things has become too great. And so the best response isn't to push for more activity. Instead, it's to create a peaceful environment where rest is respected and comfort is prioritized. Sometimes the most powerful gift is simply sitting quietly with someone, holding their hand, and letting them know they are not alone. Recognizing this sign gives us the wisdom to replace frustration with compassion and to shift our focus from doing to simply being. Sign 3. Noticeable changes in breathing. 1. Of the more visible and sometimes unsettling signs that the body may be nearing its final stage is a noticeable change in breathing patterns. Now, breathing is something most of us don't think about. It happens automatically in the background every moment of our lives. But when the body begins to slow down, this rhythm can shift in ways that feel unusual and even alarming. For some, it shows up as shortness of breath, even while sitting still. They may pause mid-sentence just to catch their breath. A simple conversation might require breaks, as though each word takes effort. For others, it looks like long gaps between breaths, almost as if the person has stopped for a moment before starting again. This can be frightening to witness, especially for family members who sit nearby. Another pattern is alternating breaths, sometimes shallow and rapid, other times slow and deep. These irregular rhythms are common as the lungs and respiratory system lose their strength. And then there's something many caregivers recognize but dread hearing: the death rattle. It sounds like a rattling or gurgling noise in the throat, caused when weakened muscles can no longer clear saliva or fluids. While the sound can be distressing, it doesn't usually cause pain. It's simply the body's way of adjusting as systems shut down. Why do these changes happen? As the body nears its final stage, oxygen levels drop. Carbon dioxide may build up. Circulation focuses on the core organs, leaving less energy for the lungs to work the way they once did. From the perspective of the person experiencing it, there may be a feeling of heaviness in the chest or the sense that air is never quite enough. For caregivers, these shifts can stir up fear or sadness. But it's important to understand, this is part of the body's natural slowing down. Sometimes, you'll notice other physical changes alongside the breathing patterns, like cooler hands and feet, or a bluish tint to the lips and fingertips. These changes happen because the body is redirecting its limited energy inward to protect the most vital organs. So how should families respond? The key is comfort. Propping someone up with pillows, keeping the room peaceful, offering a calm voice, or gently holding their hand can all bring ease. The truth is, these breathing changes are not about suffering. They are about transition. Recognizing this sign helps families shift from fear to reassurance. It reminds us to focus less on the mechanics of breathing and more on creating a space filled with calm, warmth, and love. And if you're still with me at this point, comment number 3 down below so I know you're here and finding this meaningful. Sign 4. Withdrawal from social interaction. Another powerful sign that life may be nearing its close is a gradual withdrawal from social activities and interactions. This one can be especially tough for families because it often feels personal. A once talkative parent may suddenly grow quiet. A loved one who used to enjoy visitors may now ask to be left alone. Family gatherings that once brought joy may feel exhausting, and instead of joining, the person may prefer the quiet of their room. But here's the important truth. This withdrawal isn't about rejection. It's not about disinterest in the people they love. It's about energy conservation. At this stage, the body has very limited reserves. Conversations, even short ones, require effort, mental, emotional, and physical. And so many people begin to pull back from the outside world, turning inward instead. You may notice shorter answers to questions, a smile instead of a reply, or long stretches of silence where once there was laughter and storytelling. For hobbies, even things like watching television, listening to music, or reading a favorite book may no longer hold appeal. The mind and body are shifting priorities, seeking stillness, peace, and rest over stimulation. For loved ones, this change can feel like a loss before the loss. It's painful to sit in a room with someone you love deeply and feel their presence slipping away. Many family members wonder, did I do something wrong? Do they not want me here? But again, it's not rejection. It's simply the body and spirit preparing for what comes next. So, what can we do? The best response is presence over pressure. Instead of pushing for conversation, just being there can mean everything. Sitting quietly, holding their hand, offering a gentle smile. These small actions bring comfort without demanding energy. Sometimes silence becomes the most sacred language of all. A peaceful presence can offer far more than words ever could. And for you, the caregiver or loved one, this understanding is freeing. It reminds you that you don't need to fix the situation. You don't need to force cheer or activity. What matters most is simply showing up, with patience, with gentleness, and with love. If you're still here watching, let me know by commenting number 4 in the comments. It's always encouraging to see who is walking through this journey with me. Sign 5. Changes in sleep patterns, another. Sign that often becomes very noticeable as life nears its end is a dramatic change in sleep habits. You may have seen this before. Someone who was once alert during the day now spends long hours napping. They may wake only briefly to sip water, say a few words, or look around the room before drifting back to sleep. At first, this can feel concerning. Families often ask, why are they sleeping so much? Should we wake them up to eat, to talk? But here's what's really happening. The body is conserving energy. As systems shut down, the effort it takes to stay awake and interact with the world becomes too heavy. Sleep becomes a natural refuge. For some, this shift happens gradually. More naps in the afternoon, then longer stretches at night. For others, the change is more sudden, with entire days spent in bed. Over time, it may seem like your loved one is more asleep than awake. It's important to know this isn't laziness or giving up. It's simply the body's way of easing into the final transition. Sleep becomes a kind of bridge between the physical world and the spiritual one. You may notice that even while asleep, the person still responds to touch or sound. A hand squeeze, a familiar song, or a gentle voice may bring small movements or expressions, even if they don't fully wake. This shows us that presence still matters, even when words fade away. For caregivers, this stage can feel bittersweet. On one hand, watching someone sleep peacefully can bring comfort. On the other, it can feel like you're losing precious time together. But the truth is, even in silence, connection is possible. Sitting by the bedside, stroking their hand, whispering words of love. These moments still carry meaning. If you find yourself here, remember, there's no need to fight against the sleep. Instead, see it as the body's gentle way of preparing, of letting go step by step. And if you're still following along in this video, let me know by commenting number 5 below. Sign 6, digestive system. Slowing down another. Common change in the final stage of life is that the digestive system begins to slow down, or even stop working as it once did. This shows up in several ways. Appetite decreases. Foods that were once enjoyed no longer appeal. Meals that used to bring comfort may now feel overwhelming. Sometimes, even the thought of food becomes tiring. Liquids may also be affected. A person may only take small sips of water, or sometimes refuse to drink altogether. This can be especially hard for families to watch. In many cultures, offering food and water is one of the deepest expressions of care. So when a loved one refuses, it can feel heartbreaking. But here's the truth. This isn't a rejection of love. It's a natural part of the body's process. As energy shifts inward, the digestive system no longer has the strength to process meals the way it once did. Forcing food or drink at this stage often causes discomfort, not comfort. Other signs may appear too. The person may have difficulty swallowing. They may feel nausea or notice changes in their bowel habits. These can all be indicators that digestion is winding down. So what can families do? The best approach is comfort care, not force. Instead of worrying about full meals, focus on small gestures. A damp sponge or ice chips can soothe dry lips. A favorite scent in the room can bring ease when food no longer does. Sometimes, just sitting together without the pressure of eating something brings the most peace. This stage is about shifting perspective, understanding that nourishment is no longer about calories or vitamins. It's about love, comfort, and presence. It's worth remembering that the body knows what it needs and what it doesn't. Trusting this process can bring great relief to families who feel torn between wanting to provide and needing to let go. So, if you've made it this far with me, drop a number 6 in the comments. It helps me know you're still here, walking through this conversation with me. Sign 7. Increased confusion or restlessness. The 7th and final sign we'll talk about today is something many families notice. Increased confusion, agitation, or restlessness. This can look different from person to person. Some may suddenly seem disoriented, forgetting where they are, mistaking the time of day, or not recognizing familiar faces. Others may drift in and out of awareness, mixing dreams with reality. You might hear them speak to people who have already passed, or reach out their hands as if greeting someone unseen. There can also be moments of physical restlessness, picking at the bed sheets, pulling at clothing, or trying to get up even when too weak to stand. These behaviors can be puzzling, even distressing for loved ones to witness. So what's really happening? As the brain receives less oxygen and the body shuts down, the mind begins to work differently. Some describe it as a thin veil between this world and the next. For the person experiencing it, this restlessness or confusion isn't usually frightening. It's simply part of the transition. But for family members, it can feel hard to watch. You might wonder, are they in pain? Are they scared? More often than not, they are not suffering. Their body and mind are just moving through the final steps of letting go. What helps most at this stage is creating calm and safety. Keep the room quiet, dim the lights, and use soft voices. If your loved one seems unsettled, gentle touch, like holding their hand or smoothing the blanket, can help ground them. Playing soothing music, reading familiar prayers, or sharing comforting words may also bring peace, and perhaps most importantly, don't take the confusion personally. If they don't recognize you in that moment, or if their words don't make sense, it isn't a reflection of their love. Deep down, the bond remains untouched. This sign, like all the others we've covered, is not about fear. It's about transition. It's the body and spirit preparing for the final step of the journey. If you're still with me now, comment number 7 below. That way, I know you've walked through all 7 signs right alongside me. Final thoughts, so there you have it. The 7 signs that the body may be nearing its final stage of life, loss of appetite and thirst, increased fatigue, and sleeping changes in breathing, patterns withdrawal from social interaction significant, changes in sleep habits, the slowing down of the digestive system, confusion, restlessness, or disorientation. Now let's pause for a moment. Talking about death is never easy. It's emotional, it's tender, and for many of us it stirs up fear. But my hope is that by walking through these signs together, you now feel more prepared and less afraid. Because here's the truth. These signs don't represent suffering. They represent the body's natural way of easing into the next chapter. They're not a list to dread, but a guide to help us recognize when to shift our focus from prolonging life at all costs to creating comfort, peace, and love in the time that remains. For families and caregivers, understanding these signs means you can offer support in the best way possible, not with worry or panic, but with calm, presence, and tenderness. Sometimes, the most powerful gift you can give is not a cure, but comfort. And for those who are listening because they themselves are facing this stage, I want you to hear this. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are surrounded by love, by care, by the quiet strength of those who walk beside you. So as we close, let's remember, death is not the end of love. It's simply a transition, and when we recognize these 7 signs, we can meet it not with fear, but with understanding, peace, and compassion. If this video has helped you, I'd love for you to leave a comment. Maybe share which sign resonated most with your own experience. And if you think this message could bring comfort to someone else, please share it. Sometimes, the right words at the right time can make all the difference. Thank you for staying with me through this journey. Take care of yourself and take care of each other.